Hey everybody, and welcome to the Body Smart Vodcast, where we're coming to you today with really the founder of Body Smart, Julie Knighton. So excited to be here. I'm Dr. Cameron Garber, and Julie Knighton started Body Smart, 10 years ago? Maybe more?
It's probably been about 12
years ago. So she was practicing PT here in this clinic, and so with Julie Knighton PT, and kind of a part of that journey, you started treating people and seeing people for weight loss and weight management and stuff like that. So tell us a little bit more about the history of how you got there.
Well, I started my own physical therapy clinic in 1997, so 20 years ago, regular outpatient orthopedics. And I'd always been interested since I was in college in fitness, general wellness. I'd read all of Kenneth Cooper's books. He was a doctor that started the fitness movement. He was an Air Force physician, did a lot of the initial, he actually did metabolic testing back in the day. It's been around for almost 60 years.
Yeah.
But back in the day, they didn't have computers to do the formulas. You had to gather the gases with a bag and then analyze it. But I was always interested in that. And then probably that I started my own business. After I started my own business, probably about 15 years ago, I went to a conference and they had a demonstration on the metabolic testing, which I had seen in college.
Right.
But then there was a gap of years and years where there really wasn't anything available to a clinician. You could go to a university and have a test done, but that wasn't practical for the general public.
Right.
And so when I went to this regular physical therapy conference, they demonstrated it, and I was like, oh my gosh, finally, they've got the technology and the masks and everything simple enough that somebody, like a physical therapist could do the testing. And so I signed up and bought the equipment and had it shipped to me and started right then and there, because I always felt that for a lot of people, wellness, people are willing to do things, but there's so much conflicting information.
Oh, so much, yeah.
They don't have a good starting point. So this gave people a good starting point and a way to measure them, every 6 weeks, every 8 weeks, or every couple months kind of a thing. So, yeah, it was great. So I did it.
I love it.
For all those years.
Yeah. And so what a neat thing and so fun. So I met Julie a couple years down that road then. I was a student of Julie's, almost 8 years ago?
Yes.
And got to see her in kind of her environment, working with patients, doing the testing, and saw how cool that was in how she was helping people to make lifestyle changes. And that's one of the things that I really liked about what you did that was different than any other program. It wasn't a diet per se, or it wasn't, try this workout plan or this, get slim quick type idea. It was, let's change your life and your lifestyle so that you lead a healthier lifestyle.
Right.
And I was so drawn to that. I thought that really is the perfect solution. And so that's kind of why I went down that road as well. And eventually our paths kind of reconverged, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So Cameron was one of my shining star students, obviously one of my best interns I ever had, very sharp, and had a lot of ideas. It was like, okay, we got to go do this now, but then we can talk about this later.
Right.
And so I had the opportunity a year ago. My husband was offered a job in Southern California, so I had the opportunity to move out of state. And my husband and I, obviously one of the big questions was, what was I going to do with my business? And he said, is there anyone you have in mind you could sell it to? I said, there's only one person I would even ask, and that's Cameron. So I contacted Cameron, and luckily, things worked out at the, by then he'd been out of school 6 years, 7 years.
7 years almost. Mm-hmm.
And he was always interested in the metabolic testing, which was a big part of my business.
Right.
And so I thought, well, I'm going to give him a call. And I did. And it worked out for me, worked out for him.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy that he's carrying on with this, because I think there's a real need for it. I think physical therapists are the perfect candidate to do this. Right. Doctors don't have time. A lot of other health professionals don't have the level of training. The fitness industry, personal trainers and that kind of thing, they don't have the background to analyze. I mean, they could do a test maybe, but they don't have the generally most of them wouldn't have the training to do the whole program.
Sure.
And so much of it is follow-up.
Right.
Like with regular physical therapy, you work with people consistently and guide them because there's always questions that come up.
Absolutely.
And you have experience, you can share experiences of, what other people have done. And like Cameron said, it's a lifestyle change. You're not going to, you can go on a diet and lose 10 pounds, but are you healthier and are you going to maintain a healthy weight? Not necessarily. Right. So it's the whole program. And I'm going to say that Cameron, when he worked here 6 years ago, did have a little extra, maybe 10 pounds, even at his young age.
Right.
And so over the course of his 3-month internship, roughly, that he was here, we tested him at the beginning, we tested him at the end, and he made some changes in his diet, which we documented because I saw him eat lunch every day, so I knew what he was eating. And he made some very positive changes, and he looks great, and he's kept not that he had a lot of excess weight, but he had a few pounds, and he's kept it off.
Well, so I actually wound up losing about 18 pounds during the internship and another 2 to 4 pounds after that. So I think all in all, I lost about 22 pounds, which was awesome. And that's one of the things. I'm one that's like, okay, prove it to me that this works, right? And so I came in and Julie was talking about her 70-30 exercise program. And, only 30% of the time do you really want to go very intense. And most of the time you go lighter. And I had always worked out and done sports and played, kind of team sports where the idea was if you're not killing yourself, if you're not vomiting after every workout, you're not really trying, right? And so I couldn't fathom this, like that I can work out less intensively, but more consistently was kind of the message that you do something every day. But work out less intensively and have those results. And so I kind of had to put it to the test. And I was blown away by how just walking a little bit more over my lunch breaks and eating healthier lunches was a big part of it. And just trying to generally be more active. I started wearing a pedometer and things like that, and just following the advice that Julie was giving our patients. And it was amazing. I lost 18 pounds in just that 10 or 12 week internship. And so really, which are kind of atypical results. I was a 25 or 26 year old. But pretty.
But it worked.
Yeah, it worked, and it really changed my whole mindset of what exercise should be about. And so instead of exercise being about, being really intense and trying to get all my fitness in one day, right, of the week. Instead, it's about that consistency and making my fitness help me lead the lifestyle that I want to, rather than trying to pack in 30 or 45 minutes enough activity to balance out the rest of the day where I just sit in a chair. It didn't make sense. And so Julie was very much about leading that active lifestyle, and she's a big proponent of golf and other sports and recreations, and so it was fun to see your perspective on how to lead that active lifestyle.
And it's a lot of stuff I learned over the years, for me personally, and also professionally, stuff I'd read and try to keep up with things. And I was never an athlete myself. I liked being active, and I liked doing things like hiking and biking and things like that. And I've exercised, and I use the term loosely, because for me it's a lot of walking and biking and stuff that's what I'd call moderate intensity and some weight training. Yeah. But I've been within about 5 to 10 pounds of my weight that I weighed when I was in high school and college. Which has been 40 years ago. Yeah. So you don't have to go out, like Cameron said, and just be super intense. Now here on the flip side, for people that want to do the high intensity, you can use the testing to train for that too. So people that want to do, they want to do triathlons, or they want to do century bike rides or Loda J or something like that, they can, you can use the equipment for anything. But for general health and to stay well and stay within a good body weight and to eat healthy food. That's another thing I learned over the years that I did it. The food is such a big part of it, and it's so easy to eat what's fast, and it takes more time to eat something that's real food, real plants. But I kept telling people it's not just about calories, it's nutrition. I mean, I'd give the example, if you're a Ferrari and you go to the gas station at 7-Eleven, what kind of gas are you going to put in a Ferrari?
Not putting in unleaded, right?
Yeah. You put in the most premium of whatever, whether it's gas or diesel or whatever kind of fuel it uses, because that's a really expensive engine. You're not going to put crap in it.
Right.
So I just use the same analogy with people. It's like, don't feed your body crap, because it doesn't matter if it has 200 calories or 500 calories. If it has no nutrition, you end up being malnourished but overfed. Right. You eat too many calories,
absolutely.
But you're actually undernourished. And so that's a lot of times why people overeat, is their body's sending them signals, oh, we didn't get vitamins and minerals and everything we need. And so you get hungry and you eat more. But if you eat garbage, it's just your body just packs it away because it can't use it. Yeah.
And I find that same thing in working with people, that the what you eat matters so much more than we understand. And, that's a hard transition for people to make. And that's why I love the way you initially established this program. And so I follow Body Smart, what you established as Body Smart. I follow that pretty closely. Because what it helps is those follow-up visits allow you to establish those patterns of healthy living and healthy eating. I always say you can't outrun a bad diet. No matter how much exercise you put in, you can't outrun a bad diet. And so if we can take a look at a person's pattern and say, okay, this is what you're doing now, and let's identify a couple elements of that pattern that may be off a little bit, then we can work on those. And so that's one of the things I learned from you. You'd have people bring in their food journals and their exercise journals and stuff, and that allowed you to pick apart their pattern and say, okay, this was a good choice and this was maybe not so good of a choice. How do we change that? And how do we also live so that we can reinforce the good choice? And by doing that, I learned a lot and as to how to help people reorganize their life and reorganize their personal patterns so that they lived a healthier life and lifestyle.
The other nice thing about this program, because it's one-on-one, is it's very customized to the person, because I'd have a fair amount of, say, middle-aged men that were businessmen, well, women too, but a lot of men that traveled for business, and they're like, well, God, I'm fine when I'm home, but, I got to travel 2 weeks out of the month. And, I start early, I end early, I don't have time to go to the gym, I don't know what to eat. And it's like, okay, well, we're going to sit down and we're going to come up with some strategies for you so that you just don't throw in the towel, 2 weeks of the month, because you're, that's not healthy either.
Yeah, that doesn't work very well.
So as opposed to doing some other weight loss program that doesn't teach you, this is so effective because it's customized to the person, to what they need. Absolutely. And some people are like, look, I want to do this fast. I want to see results. And other people are like, I don't want to change too many things at once. So and it just it works for everybody. And it's like you said, the long term. It's like, are you healthy in the long term? So you can avoid big health issues, diabetes and heart disease and orthopedic issues down the road. And two, more importantly, can you live the life that you want and be able to go on hikes or backpack, or if you want to go run a 10K, or for some of the patients that are older, it's like, I just want to be able to take my grandkids to the museum and walk up the stairs and, that kind of thing.
And that's one of the most rewarding things that you find is when somebody comes back and says, I used to not be able to do the stairs and now they're no big deal. Right?
Or last year we went to Disneyland and I had to have the wheelchair. This year when we took the grandkids to Disneyland, I didn't need the wheelchair.
Yeah. Those types of things are so fun to hear. I love that kind of report back. So one of the points that you brought up just barely was about how people are able to overcome some of the orthopedic issues and things like that through weight loss as well. That's one of the other things that I really learned from you, was that they're not necessarily two separate issues, right? Weight is definitely part of the problem in people's orthopedic problems and pains and aches and all those types of things. And so as a physical therapist, I think it put you in the exact right spot to be able to help them remove those roadblocks, right?
Right.
And so...
Absolutely, because they coexist. So it was... I'd have people sent to me for therapy for something, and they'd say, I know my weight's a factor. And I'm like, okay, let's get this knee problem or hip problem under control, and then we're going to address the weight loss, because that needs to be done. And then vice versa, I'd have people come in for weight loss, and they'd say, my knee is such a problem and I'm like, okay, well, we're going to start you with what you can do exercise-wise, maybe something in a pool and the eating plan, and then we're going to do some therapy for a month or 6 weeks on your knee, so then you can bike without or walk or something without your knee hurting. So yeah, it worked out great because it's one person.
It's
one person. It's not, you don't just treat a knee, you treat the person. And that's one reason I went into physical therapy in the first place, was to help people, and I opened my own business secondly because I really like to spend the time with people, and I think the results are so much better, and I think they deserve it.
And I love that. That's another thing that I feel like I learned from you, was giving people that one-on-one time and attention, that ability to really care about the individual. And so that you can notice those problems, that they're not just coming in for their knee. And I think healthcare does a really good job at isolating something like that, but also a really poor job at treating patients as people instead of as a diagnosis. And that's something that I really learned from you, was that they are a complete individual, and that just because they're coming into you for knee pain or back pain or whatever, that there's more to it than that. And that may be the reason that they stopped working out and gained all the weight in the first place, was because of, a bad knee. And so if we can remove that roadblock, their life and lifestyle has so much more potential to recover and be better, and that they can lead the lifestyle that they want to. And that's been such a great thing. And that's really what made me leave kind of my cushy job at the university and want to do this. And when I bought the metabolic testing equipment on my own and started to go out, it's because I knew that I could intervene and help people in a totally different way and really make a difference in their life. And that was really rewarding and fulfilling. And so I definitely thank you and appreciate that you taught me those things, so that I really had that itch, that bug ever since I worked with you, to want to help people in that way. And so it's all kind of come full circle in that I was able to step in when you decided to
step out. Which is great. It's been great. And I'm very, very, very happy for you. And the other thing I liked about, not just his skill level, because skill level was off the chart. Great with people, and he had the same philosophy as me, in that, treating the whole person and making the whole experience as pleasant as possible. And I have friends, I call them friends. They started out as patients, but I will have friends the rest of my life. Because you work intimately with people in this situation, and a lot of times they're in pain or they're hurt, and they're just forever grateful.
And you get to know about their kids and their grandkids and their situation. Whole lives. And so you do. You love your patients, and you really want to see them do better and get better and be better and
have a good life.
It's a neat thing. So I appreciate that. All those things that I learned from you, and it's really been transformative in the way I lead my life as well as practice physical therapy. So thank you so much.
You are welcome. And you are doing great, and will continue to do great.
Well, I hope so.
Way to go, Cameron.
Yay. So that's it from the Body Smart Vodcast. Just wanted to, our founding member, give her the honor and allow her to have the ability to share with us all the stuff that she really started and inspired in me, and hopefully inspired in some of you if you're watching some of Julie's former patients. Very excited to have her on today and to be able to share this with you. So thanks so much, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Body Smart Podcast. Join us in the Body Smart community on Facebook to share your successes or ask a question for our next episode. Now get out there and take the next step toward living your active lifestyle.